What's good, beautiful people? I'm here today to make a very special video, one that I think will be of value and benefit to the community, all right? So first and foremost, before we begin, I'd like to share with you all one of my favorite colognes, okay? This is gonna be Homage Jubilation. Homage Jubilation. Fantastic smell, hints of amber, sweet, warm, woody, and spicy. If you like oud, this is definitely gonna be a winner. One thing I would definitely say about this cologne is one of my personal favorites. I'll put it right up there with Creed Invictus or any other of my favorite colognes. It has a very distinct, sweet, and classy smell of oud though. It's very masculine smell. And one thing about it is that it will last, one spray will last a very long time. Definitely one that I would recommend for you all. A great smelling cologne, all right? But now I want to transition, okay? To the reasons, okay? 3 reasons in particular why patriarchy cannot be trusted in the Black community, okay? Now, first of all, I want to make something abundantly clear. I'm not against patriarchy. I'm actually for patriarchy. I would love to be able to say that the Black community, that the men in the Black community have solved the issue of a lack of patriarchy in it, right? I would love to be able to say that Black men are the natural leaders, the natural de facto leaders of the Black community. So I want to make that very clear from the gate. I'm not against it at all. I'm for it. But this is the reasons why it can't be trusted, okay, as it currently is today, okay? Now, I'm not going to leave you with these negatives without providing some solutions. So I will be doing 3 reasons why it's not trusted today, as well as the solution also in 3 reasons, okay? Or 3 solutions that will work to basically establish a community of trust where patriarchy can be the way to go, okay? So first of all, number 1, Black men, not enough Black men seem to care enough about establishing Black male patriarchy in the community. So, understanding that men should be in power and earning that position of power are 2 very different things, okay? And men do well to be honest with themselves and understand that, right? If, let's say, for example, there's a team, right? You have like a basketball team or a football team, whatever, right? And right now, the starting quarterback is whoever, right? But there's some other person who you know is better, who you know naturally should have the position. But this person refused to go to practice. He's not in the weight room. He think his natural talent, skill, and ability is just enough. He's showing up late to practice. He's just not present. He's not getting involved, okay? Who's going to be the starting quarterback? Regardless of who should be. If you miss tryout, you're not going to be on the team, right? If you don't show up and do what you're supposed to do, then you're not going to get the position. It's just that simple, okay? So again, understanding who should be in power, AKA Black men, okay? And earning that role are 2 different things. And I think that a lot of men need to realize that. In other words, just because you got a set of, a set of balls, you feel me, and you're a man, does not mean that you've earned the right to be the patriarchal leader of your household, of your, not necessarily your household, but because that's a different situation, but of your community, right? Hopefully in terms of the household, hopefully if you are a husband, you're naturally the patriarchy. You've already done the work that you're supposed to have done before entering into that situation. But if you haven't, that's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother video. But, and again, this is what I'm trying to say is that there's work that needs to be done in preparation for that role of patriarchy, okay? So complaining about it is not going to be enough. But here's the thing about it, right? A lot of people can do this. A lot of folk will complain about what's going on in the Black community. Oh, it's a gynocracy. It's this, that, and the third, right? But what have you done to establish or contribute to a patriarchy? Okay, complaining is not enough. Here's number 2. The number 2 reason why patriarchy cannot be trusted in the Black community is a lack of infrastructure. This is a huge one, okay? Where is the infrastructure to prove that Black men care? Where is it? I'm not saying it doesn't exist, okay? I live in a community where there are Black-owned schools, Black male-owned schools, and so forth. But again, this goes back to the basics, okay? Where are the black male-owned schools, the black male-owned grocery stores, the black male-owned hospitals, the black male-owned financial institutions, the black male financial services, black male construction companies, black male politicians who are not selling their people out, black male-owned technology companies, okay, to propel or at the very least sustain the community. And I'm not saying they don't exist. What I'm saying is, be honest with yourself. Are there enough? Do we have enough to sustain our communities? And if we don't have enough, and you're honest and you say, we don't have enough, then how can you trust that system? How can you trust a system that cannot provide the very basics for an entire community? Maybe you and maybe I, as a single black male, have enough, can provide enough infrastructure, have enough resources to make things happen. But we're talking about collectively. Is there enough of it? And I think the short answer to that is no, family. Okay, we have to be honest with ourselves when we ask ourselves these questions and when we get into these types of conversations, okay? And here's the other thing, right? We already know excuses won't work. And I get tired of this. I get tired of hearing black men say, well, look at somebody like Nipsey Hussle, and he tried to go out here and do this, that, and the third, and look what happened to him. And folks use that as an excuse to not get up off their lazy behinds, to not put their money where their mouth is, and to just complain. It's just an excuse. Excuses will not cut it, won't work. It's a dull knife trying to slice through some New York steak, brother. You're going to struggle. You're going to mess the bread up when you try to slice through it because you got the wrong knife. You don't know what you're doing. You just want to complain. You don't even want to slice the bread, really, because you really don't want to do that. You just want to complain because you feel better about complaining. It's a place of safety, and it makes you feel good about yourself, meanwhile doing nothing to actually propel the community. It's not enough, okay? Here's the other thing. Complaining. This is a big one here. Complaining about the black woman, and again, some, not all black women, the black woman's lack of submission to patriarchy, the black woman's attitude and behavior, while simultaneously doing nothing to contribute to a systematic solution or the systematic success of the entire community, is pointless. It's pointless, all right? And here's the number 3 reason why the black patriarchy cannot be trusted as it stands today in America. It's a lack of trust. Lack of trust between black men and the entire black community. It ain't just black women who don't trust black men. And I had to lean forward and let y'all know that. I'm sorry if I got too, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, it is not just black women who don't trust black men. Black men don't trust other black men. I'm going to ask you a question. Do black men promote brotherhood? Do black men trust other black men? The elephant in the room, and how you can actually answer that question and understand it in context is when you look at the domestic violence rates. Okay. I remember reading that the state of Minnesota, okay, created a murdered and African-American women's task force, basically to establish or address the lack of justice and the high amount of domestic violence and missing black women and murdered black women, et cetera, in their state. Black women in that state somewhere represent about 7% of the population, but represent 40% of domestic violence victims. Okay, and then when you look at the crime rate, the violent crime rate in the black community, most of which is being poured out upon other black men towards other black men. When you look at this, this is a living testimony. You can't argue with numbers. You can talk about how you feel about a situation or whatever, and talk about excuses or why this is that way or whatever the situation is. But let's first establish the reality. Before we start talking about excuses and all this, that, just be honest. We have to be honest. This is probably the most important thing. If we can't be honest about these conversations, then we shouldn't even have them. We can't have them. We're not even ready to have the conversation because we're unwilling to be honest about the problem. Okay. We're a violent group of people. We are people that sometimes lack patience, especially with one another. We are people where, it's just like not all of us, but a lot of us. And it's evident in so many different things. And we talk about, as we're talking about this, the culture, the Black American culture today. Do you trust the Black American culture today? What is Black American culture? Well, popular culture, unfortunately, the popular Black American culture today, by most people, is going to be what you see and evident in hip hop, R&B. No, it's not even R&B. We don't even really have R&B anymore like we used to, but it's really hip hop culture and rap. Okay. And what does that music promote for the most part? Okay. Black, and you talk about not just Black, but rap music in general, and its glorification of materialism and violence, okay, against its own people, is exclusive to the Black community. And I need us to think about that. There is no other community on the planet whose primary music involve that group of people killing themselves. And really, it don't even involve that much materialism. People are more so celebrating life than anything else, which is what we had back in the day. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you had music and culture that just celebrated life, the beauty of life. I'm talking about groups like Earth, Wind, and Fire. You understand me? Like different musicians, right, who celebrated more positivity. If you think about it, at the same time when you had artists and musicians singing "I'm Black and I'm Proud," you also had Black politicians and real Black revolutionaries who were really in the street bringing forth real change. Now you don't have no "I'm Black and I'm Proud" musicians, okay? You got other types of music going on, and it is harmful to our community. So this creates a lack of trust, not just between Black men and Black women, but between Black men and everybody in the community. And it's very harmful and it is dangerous, okay? Now I want to talk about solutions, right? 3 solutions that we can implement, okay, to fix this issue and establish patriarchy in the Black community, all right? Not just you as an individual, not just me as an individual, but collectively us as a group of men, okay? Number 1, put your time and money where your mouth is. Big one, big one. Put your time and money where your mouth is, all right? So provide the infrastructure. I talked earlier about the infrastructure that's missing, right? Provide it. And the more Black men provide the infrastructure, okay, the practical infrastructure to sustain our people, to at the very least sustain us, that will help tremendously, okay? What goes along with that is the provision of financial literacy and education. We know that education is the solution to a whole lot of problems in our community, okay? Including poverty, including so many different things. Education is the way, okay? And another big one, okay? Because our people a lot of times lack financial resources, okay? One thing that can help tremendously is the utilization of personal and business credit, okay? The leveraging of such to help establish this infrastructure that is currently missing in our communities, okay? The second thing we can do is to be intentional about building trust, okay? First of all, Pookie and Ray Ray must be stopped at all costs because right now it is their kingdom out here. It is heaven, okay? And they must be stopped, all right, period. Stop the thugs from destroying the community. Stop promoting that culture. Stop promoting gang culture. Stop promoting pimping. It's not sustainable for a community. You want to talk about a patriarchy and if it can be trusted, but you also want to talk about pimping. You also want to talk about gangs. You also want to talk about thugging. You can't be trusted. I don't care how many people momentarily want to flock to you. In the long run, you will fail because that's not a sustainable system. It is not a system that people with common sense are going to trust. So stop the promotion of it. Stop these gangs. Encourage chastity between Black men and Black women. It's a huge one. It's in a whole nother video, a whole nother topic of discussion. Promote marrying before you carry. Promote virginity. Promote and stop the promotion of this idea that, oh, it's the second date. I'm supposed to get between the woman's legs. You know, I need to try it before I buy it. Type man. Like stop the madness. Stop promoting things that we know don't work. Have you tried to do things the right way? You know, I guarantee if you look at domestic violence rates between unmarried relationships, like couples who aren't married, and those who are married. I guarantee you that domestic violence rates are much lower with married couples. Okay? We already know the statistics as it relates to children growing up in single parent households. No, it doesn't mean that every person and every child who grows up in a single parent household is going to be a failure or is going to be going to prison or jail. But when you look at the population of those who are in jail and you weigh it out and you say, damn, most of these folks who are in here are a product of a single parent household, that's not me blaming anybody. That's me recognizing the problem and saying, listen, we need to promote chastity amongst our people and establish some ground rules in terms of how we date and interact with one another. Okay. Very important. Okay. And the last thing on this topic of being intentional about building trust is have mercy. It's a huge one. Have some mercy, right? Have some grace. Okay. And this leads me into the next one. The third solution, okay, is to stop the coonery, and celebrate those who get things done. Okay. I think that we have to learn how to honor those who have even failed, okay, in the past while still calling out, or excuse me, honor those who have failed in the past while still calling out the flaws. Okay. So I'll give an example. Martin Luther King, right? And he's again, an honorable man, like way more honorable than, you know what I mean? Than myself. Okay. But what I would say is this about him, and this ain't a knock on him. When he got before the nation, got before the whole United States of America and promoted his dream about white girls and all these other people coming together, instead of him placing forth some demands for America with regards to his people, and he instead want to promote his dream, in my opinion, that was a failure. He failed the community. He failed all the black people when he did that. Because he put the cart before the horse. First, make sure we straight. Then let's talk about your dreams and bringing everybody. We ain't straight. See, so, but I can discuss that without tearing him down. See, and I think there's an art to that. We have to learn how to do that. We have to learn, and that's grace. We have to learn how to say, look, this person was successful here, but failed here. And we say that not to tear that person down, but for us to understand what we got to do moving forward. In other words, just like Barack Obama, he's somebody who got in a place of power and just ain't do nothing for black folks. Same can be true with Kamala Harris. And she done told you out her own mouth that she ain't gonna do nothing for black folks. So we got to understand these things, and we can honor these people and what they did if we choose to, without tearing them down too aggressively, but still call out the buffoonery, the coonery, the fact that certain people just saw the finish line. The finish line was right there. But when they understood what crossing that finish line was going to cost, they didn't cross it. They stopped. Okay. And so we have to learn the art of doing that. Right. And I think doing these things and implementing these three solutions that I've talked about will help establish, okay, a patriarchy that can be trusted within the black community. Okay. I want to see a day when patriarchy and black men in general can be trusted. We'll step up and do all these things. And I'm going to end this video just like this. The other day I was inside of a store. I went into an Indian store because I like, curry chicken and so forth. And I go into an Indian grocery store to purchase, the curry and the different products that I need. And I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I go in that store and I feel so, I'm thinking to myself, why don't we have a black owned grocery store? Right? Where is it in my community? Where is it? You go in the store, you go in the Indian store, all of the products come from India. 90% of products coming from India. Okay. They got all the groceries. They got a whole bunch of specific things specific to their community. Where is our version of that? I want to go out tonight to eat some food, right? I can find a Japanese restaurant, a Korean restaurant, an Indian restaurant, a Mexican restaurant. Where's the black restaurants? Don't tell me that soul food is our food. I don't want to eat chitlins and a bunch of unhealthy nonsense. Like, where is it for real? Where are the healthy options? Give me something good. I want to spend my money with you, black man and black woman. I want to spend it. But give me something worthwhile and be fair to me and treat me with good service when I come in there and I'm going to break bread with you and tip you something righteous. You understand me? And that's how we have to learn to be. We have to honor one another and respect one another, treat one another with respect and honor and understand the bigger picture of what we're trying to establish. And I think if we do that, we'll do well. All right. So, beautiful people, let's make it happen. All right. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. Tell me what y'all think. Until we chat again, I'm out.